Hello, welcome to He's Hot, but Something Is Off with me, just Joey T. Do you like my headband? If you're watching the video version of this podcast, which is available on my YouTube channel, just Joey T, and on Spotify, I don't like doing my hair, like styling it, putting product in it most days, only because I'm lazy. And it's only been 3 weeks since I got a haircut, but my hair is so thick and it grows pretty fast that it's only manageable or easy to style for maybe like a week and a half after I get the haircut. And after that, it's like too long and it gets like too thick and it's exponentially more difficult to style. And if I'm not going anywhere fancy, I'll just wear a hat or I actually don't like wearing hats either. So I do have some headbands. I kind of look like a tennis player a little bit right now, just to push my hair back for times when I don't want to wear a hat for whatever reason. But what I do have is like this type of a leave-in conditioner that's also like they advertise it as some Head and Shoulder stuff. That they also advertise as something that will prep your hair for styling product. So it doesn't have like a hole to it, but it's got, I don't know, something in it that kind of sort of makes your hair look really, I guess it's just probably just regular conditioner that they market it and upsell it as something else. But it's got some coconut oil in it. And I find out that if I put that in my hair, like a good decent amount of it into my hair when it's damp, it kind of sort of makes it look like not like I just got a perm, it makes my hair look like regular, normal, straight hair. If I do want to do something like this where I'm wearing a headband, so it's pushing my hair back, but you can still kind of sort of see my hair. So that's what I did today. And that was probably too much information if you especially are not watching the video version of the podcast. But anyways, I'm really excited to do the podcast this week. Well, more excited than usual. Some days you have, some weeks, some days you feel a little bit more uppity, more excited to just do like whatever. So this week I was a little bit more excited than average, than usual to record the podcast. And partially that's because I got a decent number of comments from the previous episode on YouTube. So it's nice to just see some of the comments, some of the questions that you guys have. So to kick it off this week, I'm going to go through some of those comments. Actually, also really like recording last week's episode because I had just gone back from Asia. So I had, like a bunch of little stories to tell from my trip over there. So let's dig through some comments. So, by the way, all of your usernames are impossible to pronounce and all tongue twisters. So I'm just going to read the comments and not necessarily read your usernames. In Thailand, there are gay music festival events. Many Korean and Chinese visit a lot this year, which is good. And they're very hot. So I didn't look into this or verify this myself, but I heard that within that kind of general area in Asia, Thailand is one of the few countries where you don't usually need a visa to just go and visit and stay for a little while. And also, the Thailand economy, a good big portion of it is from tourism. So they obviously know that, and they obviously probably do certain things to encourage people to visit for whatever reason. But I went doing Songkran. Again, that's because I knew a lot of gay boys would be visiting during that time. And also, as part of those, a lot of gay content creators would be visiting. So it was strategic that I visited Bangkok doing Songkran. And they worked out very well. I was able to do a lot of collabs there. I'm already kind of sort of planning or thinking about what's the next collab trip that I'm gonna take. I think for the summertime, I think I want to maybe stay local in the US, maybe take a trip or two within the US, but Maybe for like Taipei Pride, I was there last year. Maybe I'll go again this year. So yeah, I'm starting to think, like a few months ahead as to, or for later this year, if I should go somewhere or if I should go back to Asia or not. Can't wait to see some of your collabs. I bet Songkran was awesome. I follow some content creators from Hong Kong, Bangkok, Taipei, Tokyo, Seoul. Those like all the, I think those are definitely all the hotbeds or like the hotspots of where a lot of, where the clusters of the Asian content creators are, especially also like Vietnam. There are actually quite a few folks that are based in Vietnam as well. But yeah, definitely Tokyo, Taipei, Bangkok there are a lot of content creators based in those areas. From Seoul as well, I think maybe not as many, or at least ones that I know of anyways. I've seen some from Hong Kong, but I think it's also kind of not as many as some of the other places. My dad used to go to Hong Kong on business back in the 70s. Those days you flew out of the old Kai Tak Hong Kong airport. So it used to be, it just randomly popped up on my YouTube that there was like this little mini documentary on the old airport in Hong Kong. So the current airport they have in Hong Kong, I forgot the name, but is it Tet Lap Kok? Is that the new one? But they moved to the new airport. Was this something like 20 to like 25 years ago, approximately, is when the current Hong Kong airport opened. And they basically overnight moved the operation from the old one to the new one. But this random little YouTube video about the old Hong Kong airport just randomly popped up earlier this week on my YouTube. And it's basically, the old airport was in the middle of Hong Kong and is surrounded by tall buildings and is in the valley between all these mountains. So as a pilot flying in, the approach is actually like very difficult and therefore like a little risky because you have to kind of swoop down, avoid all the mountains, swoop down into the valley, and you don't have a lot of time between passing over the top of the mountains before you have to like swoop down quite severely to get to like the start of the runway where you're gonna have to land. Yeah, definitely there's some airports in the world where, like it's just not very pleasant or it's a little bit riskier to kind of take off and land in those places, primarily because of the geography of where the airport's located. Yeah, so I found that kind of interesting. Welcome home, thank you. Have you ever gone to Purple Party in Dallas? I've not been to Purple Party in Dallas. I've definitely heard of it. And it's also for like a good cause. I believe it's for like a charitable cause. I know a few people that have gone to Purple Party, but I myself have not been there. This year, to be completely honest, I'm not partying very much. So most years in the past, when I've had more cash flow, to be brutally honest, I have regularly traveled to go to parties like multiple times a year. We don't have a lot of cash flow right now. And I partied enough last year, honestly. Given that there wasn't a ton of money coming in when I was kind of sort of on my like break year. And then when I realized, I'm not going back to the 9 to 5. The budget cuts came in hard and fast. So no parties, definitely not any like dedicated party trips. The only like non-business trips I think I'm going to be taking this year are just the ones to visit family back in Vancouver. So I'm actually going to Vancouver, in a few days. The day that this goes up, I'll be on a plane to Vancouver because I just visit my family, a few times a year. So, and also Mother's Day is coming up. I'm such a bad son because I don't know when Mother's Day or Father's Day is coming up until like something reminds me or like I accidentally hear about it on the news or on social media that, it's like, in 10 days, in like a week and a half, it's like Father's Day or Mother's Day. It's like, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Don't yell at me. I can already hear you guys yelling. Question time, Joey. There's an old saying, when you go to Bangkok, you Bangkok. Was it a lot or a little? So it was a collab trip. I went to Bangkok for business to do collabs for OnlyFans. And it was a pretty successful trip. There were a lot of collabs that I did. Let's put it that way. And I'll also say my subscribers will be getting the exclusive on the full list of people. Well, my super fans, what I call them. I've got like a loyalty program that I implemented on my on my OnlyFans, and I call them the super fans. They're like the top tier subscribers that I have. Those are the folks that are gonna get the full list of all the people that I collabed with. I'm saving that as a super fan perk. But suffice to say, it was a lot. But that was also like the purpose of the trip. I put in a lot of effort to like reach out and schedule creators like months in advance, weeks in advance before I flew up to Asia. So yeah, there you go. Welcome home. What's your OnlyFans? I'll put it into, well, I hope when I edit this after I record that I remember that I need to do this, but I'll put down in the description for this podcast my OnlyFans username, which is KeeanRyX, but I'll spell it out for y'all in the description below. So under that alt alias, it's not just OnlyFans, but I also have my Reddits on there, my Twitter's on there. Twitter is like the big one. I also have an Instagram that's under that name. I got a TikTok that's under that name, but I should be posting some new videos, honestly. Yeah, so it's not just the OnlyFans. It's like a whole different everything under that other username. So go check that out. Okay, I think those are... Oh, this is one cruise-related one that I haven't been following the Atlantis news like very, very like closely, to be honest, recently. The fourth Med cruise announced by Atlantis, that was, and sorry, let me read this again. The fourth Med cruise was announced by Atlantis and then canceled within a week or less, very on Atlantis' part. So I think they announced adding a fourth cruise in the Mediterranean this year. Because originally they had the July luxury cruise on the Oceania. Then they had two Virgin cruises that were back to back in August, and there were 10 days on each of those two cruises. So those are the three that were announced like way back, and like they've been taking bookings for those. As far as I know, they're close to being sold out or are sold out, those three. And then at some point earlier this year, they announced a fourth Med cruise for, if I remember correctly, for July on another Virgin ship. So if that's the one that might have been canceled, I haven't been following any of the cruise stuff super closely, unless like, I don't know, Atlantis made an announcement or sent an email about it or something like that. But yeah, maybe I'll ask some of my Atlantis contacts to see what's going on there. But yeah, that's very odd. I know Atlantis likes to give like previews of upcoming cruises, especially when you go on an Atlantis cruise and it's like the last day. Rich likes to have some sort of little like sneak peek or like quick heads up about upcoming cruises potentially that are not published on the website, or ones that are not completely 100% doubly confirmed. He likes to give a heads up, which is kind of sort of nice, but sometimes you gotta have to take that with a grain of salt. For me personally, if a Atlantis cruise isn't posted on the website, because on the website, the Atlantis official website, there is a section, a page on the website for every single cruise that they have. So if it's not listed, if the web page for a particular cruise isn't published on the official website, I don't 100% trust that it will happen. Because sometimes for things like this, right? Sometimes it's beyond anyone's control. If the cruise line suddenly, I don't know what the reasons are. I don't work there. But yeah, when a cruise is posted, it has its own webpage on the Atlantis official website. That's when you know, like, okay, like it's on, because they don't usually do that until it's like everything is signed, the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted and everything. But to be honest, I haven't checked the website or anything else about this other cruise. I knew that someone in Atlantis made some sort of announcement. Maybe it was just like a preview as like, or something that's likely to happen but hasn't been confirmed. So that is weird to see. Something that was a little bit weird that happened during my Asia trip. Actually, this is like before the Asia trip. I think I mentioned this slightly that I got SIBO or like right before I left for Asia. This was like a week or so before, and I was seeing my proctologist and told him like a little bit of some of the like like IBS type symptoms I was having. Long story short, I got I did a test for SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. It's not bad bacteria, but in your large intestines, everyone has bacteria there. There's like tons of like healthy normal bacteria in your large intestines, and in your small intestines, you're not really supposed to have much bacteria, if at all, because that's just like when you're everything's normal, that's just the way it is. But sometimes, in some people, for whatever reason, sometimes you get a abnormally high amount of bacteria in your small intestines. It's not like bad bacteria that are like invaders or whatever. Sometimes the type of bacteria that is normally in your gut, for whatever reason, starts to set up camp in your small intestines, and that they reproduce, and you get too much of that bacteria in that section of your gut. So that's basically what happened to me. It's not like bad bacteria that you picked up somewhere because you ate something, whatever. I think in medical science, they're still not 100% sure what causes SIBO. So anyways, but I got like diagnosed with it. So I was kind of sort of managing that a little bit. And during at least like the initial part of the trip, I had like some minor little episodes, little waves of like depression, like minor depression, not a lot, but I can feel that the emotions were like a little bit weird. And I haven't had a chance to talk to my doctor, but I was like on this trip and I was working and doing all this stuff. And it's something I'm going to bring up in my follow-up visit with the gastronome, whatever, just, I can't pronounce that word. It's the type of doctor that specializes in your gut. I was going to bring it up, but I did some Google searching, but I take medical advice on Google and the internet with a pinch of salt. But they do say that, it's not, from what I've seen, it's not uncommon for people with SIBO to experience like, some minor anxiety or like some minor acute depression as a result. But so I don't know if that was a factor or not. Sometimes you go away on like a trip for like an extended period of time. Maybe you are homesick a little bit, but you don't realize it. Or just like sometimes a change your environment can trigger like some mood swings, Yeah, but it was like a little bit weird. But, like the SIBO thing, I was on antibiotics. So that should be fixed. I don't have like the symptoms anymore of like SIBO. But, the antibiotics is not like 100%, like 99% cure, fix, whatever, every single time. I think the success rate is something like 60 to 80%. There's like some other factors too. There's a potential for like recurrence, and it also depends on maybe on like your diet. It's a whole bunch of stuff. It's not like the most well-known, well-understood condition as far as I can tell. So I do have to go in for like a follow-up and get that referral to like just see like what else is going on. If I need to like do anything else, do I still need to be on like some sort of special, more restrictive diet? I usually eat lots of whole grains and have lots of fiber and things like that. But if you have SIBO or like IBS, it's not good to eat lots of fiber and lots of whole grains necessarily. And certain types of foods are not going to help your symptoms. They might make your symptoms worse. But right now I'm okay, but it was just like a little bit weird. So like just, little bits of like, little bit of like dip, like kind of waves of like mini bits of depression, like light depression, nothing serious, nothing like super, super deep. But yeah, but it was like a little bit weird. And lately I've been very into analyzing my dreams. I've been having, I don't know, I don't always have dreams, but lately I feel like most nights I have kind of sort of weird dreams. Like there's one of the more recent dreams I had was I was on vacation like a vacation trip with some friends, and there were like a few friends were like in particular, like those specific friends, like they popped up in that dream, and I was having like a face to face conversation with them. And then in a related part of the dream, we were in like an Airbnb type of apartment, I guess, and it was like kind of sort of dark. It was daylight outside, but like the lights in the apartment were not on. So I was trying to look for the light switches to turn on the lights, and I I'm like looking for the light switches, and I don't have a lot of trouble finding them. But some of the light switches were on weird places, and I noticed that in the dream. For example, in the kitchen, the light switches were on the door of the refrigerator. I was able to flip them on and the lights come on, but I noticed that, oh, it's weird that the light switches were like literally like in the door of the fridge, and like that's where they were. So yeah, so every time I wake up and I remember stuff like that, I would like Google search instantly, like what does it mean in your dream when you have to like turn on light switches and things like that. Yeah, so I've been I've been very into like decoding my dreams lately because I did used to have this dream. I think I mentioned it. I'm not sure. Where it's a recurring dream where I'm trying to walk or run, and my legs were very, very heavy. And apparently, what that meant was that uh, I knew I was procrastinating in real life, and it was my inner self telling me like get off your ass and like start getting shit done. And I actually did that, and those dreams went away. So I'm like a bit of a believer in like the subconscious trying to tell me via dreams, like to do certain things or to like pay more attention to like some aspect of my life. But sometimes the dreams are so weird that it's really hard to decode. Um, yeah, but I'm really into that lately. And I've been working really hard. Well, I hate using the term I'm working really hard because a lot of times I don't feel like I'm working super, super hard because I always have this mindset that, oh, you know what? You are putting some effort into me, but like there are so many more difficult, way more difficult things one could be doing. So I have this like weird aversion to saying I work really hard because I feel like there's just because of the knowledge that of the existence of things that are way more difficult than what I have to do. So I'm almost like trivializing my own efforts a little bit. But anyways, I have been working at like the only like the content creation business, the OnlyFans business. It's like it's always like, okay, what can I do to like make more revenue or to like make a higher profit, and like what do I do to like get more fans and do the marketing and sales and all that kind of stuff. Honestly, I feel like I work harder at the OnlyFans than I have worked at a lot of my more recent 9 to 5 day job as an employee of a corporation, like the last few years, even though those are very well paying positions. So yeah, it's like a little bit weird, and it's a little bit hard for me to disconnect from the work. I do have a certain passion for the work. I do now, definitely. Um, but sometimes when something is like a job, the what it means to you and how it affects you is like a little bit different than something that's a hobby, and like you really don't care for its like monetary income, right? When something's a hobby, it doesn't matter if it costs you like a little bit of money. Well, I mean, some people have really expensive hobbies, but your run-of-the-mill hobby is usually not very expensive, but you might need to like, if you paint in your spare time, you might occasionally buy art supplies. That's normal, right? But you paint for fun. It's for joy. It's a hobby. It's not gonna earn you any money. Like you just draw or paint or create for the joy of creating art. Even though you may need to buy supplies every so often. But when it's a business and you depend on it for money to pay your bills every single month, like I do right now, it's the view of it is like very different. I'm fully aware that certain things that I do for fun, I don't ever want to turn it into a business. But I knew that if I expect it to make any money out of it, I would not like it anymore. OnlyFans isn't one of those things, but there are definitely things I enjoy. Like, because I have some interest in certain things where I know I should never try to monetize that thing, even though in today's world, everyone is trying to monetize everything these days, honestly. But I knew, like, you know what, those things, do it for fun. Don't ever expect money from it in any way, shape, or form, because it'll just automatically not be fun anymore if I try to monetize it. So yeah, and I just think uh a lot of my waking hours is like, how do I get more money? And worrying about, okay, it's not bringing enough money. Like, it's not bringing enough money to like pay my bills. Like, I'm not breaking even. Like, a lot of it is like that. And I've just been thinking, maybe if some of my recent dreams are a little bit connected with that idea, or like, how I'm treating the business, or maybe like the amount of worry that I have in terms of like every single day I'm checking like the revenue, how many subscribers do I have, like how much money did I bring in yesterday? Oh, like I'm trying to sell this particular thing. What are the sales like? Like this new thing, I'm trying to bring more subscribers. Am I getting the return on the investment? It's like all very businessy. Everything you see behind the content is only like 20% of it. 80% is like sales, marketing, like the business side of it, really, honestly. Yeah, and I spent every single day, like, doesn't matter if it's Saturday or Sunday, nighttime, daytime, whatever. Every day I'm looking at it. Every day I'm thinking, like, what can I do to make this OnlyFans make me more money, because I'm not covering my bills. I'm not broke. I've got savings and investments and all of that kind of stuff. It is bringing in, like, by I think a lot of people's expectations, like, it's bringing in like a decent amount of money. It's not bringing in just like 20, 50, $100 a month. It's more than that. But I have a mortgage, and it's like I've got a car and all this kind of stuff. It's just my expenses are a little bit too high for the amount of money that my OnlyFans is bringing in. So it's a cash flow thing. I'm not broke. I want to put it out there. I'm not like, in the dumps or anything like that. But it's not a nice feeling where every month I have to like transfer in some money from my savings just to like make sure all the bills are paid. So my focus has been like, okay, every month we have to increase how much money we earn. We have to increase the profits every single month. Really think of it like a business, like in terms of like dollars and cents and things like that. It's like, how do we retain the subscribers so that, like they keep paying the subscription fee? How do we get more subscribers? How do we do more outreach to get more people to know about my OnlyFans? How do we get people that cancel their subscription to come back? All these types of things. So yeah, and I don't see myself like giving myself a break from it, because I don't know, there's not a lot of differentiate between like me as Kian and like, like this fantasy that I've created, this persona that I've created, versus like my real life, because I depend on Kian to like bring in the money right now. Yeah, so it's like a little bit weird. At the same time, I'm getting more and more excited about, like really actually stepping into like a higher gear for the other business that I'm working on. It is progressing, but the real hard work for the launch of that is like, I haven't done the real hard work yet. We're not quite at that stage, but I want to spend most of the month of May focus on that. Every single month to date, the main focus of my working hours has been just on OnlyFans. I spend so many hours on it, literally every single day. I'm working on it. Now that I'm not, don't have to adhere to the construct of this like Mondays to Fridays 9 to 5. I work whenever I want, but I'm my own boss. I'm self-employed, which is kind of nice. But I end up basically working maybe like 3, 4, 5 hours, like 4 or 5 hours on average, like every single day on it. So it's not like some crazy number of hours, but like I think about it, and I am working on my OnlyFans business every single day. Like there's not a day that goes by for like the last year, at least the last, 12 months or so, that I haven't worked on my OnlyFans in some substantial way, shape, or form. Like, there's no day that goes by where I don't spend at least like a couple hours on it, even if I'm on vacation. Like, even when I go visit my parents, visit my family when I'm in Vancouver, like I have to have my laptop or phone or something. I have to be checking it. I have to be like doing something, doing posts, answering comments. Like, I'm doing something all the time on it. So yeah, I kind of want a little bit of a break, but it's also like not something that you can just take a vacation on easily. But yeah, so that's my little rant about work-life balance, I guess. Apparently, the term work-life balance is, for some people, that's like something you don't, like, that's like a not the proper term or whatever now. When I was in corporate, there were so many things that I describe it as having a muzzle on. When you're working in corporate, you have to be so PC in everything you say. Okay? That's not a bad thing, because you need to be able to, it's not good to offend people or to, feel like you might be offended or marginalized in any way. So I totally get why in like a regular corporate situation, people need to be like very PC. And I was a manager, like a people manager for like several years in corporate. So, and this is something that, especially as a people manager, I had to be like extra careful about, like not to accidentally say certain things or make certain jokes that might possibly offend anyone. Having said that, now that I am self-employed and I don't have any employees, I am the business, I am the product, and I'm a one-person shop. And also because of like the type of work that I do is not, my type of work right now is not something that's like the traditional type of industry where like you can't say anything. I don't have any like political like opinions or many political opinions. And it's not something anything controversial, politics for one, it's not anything that I have a lot of opinions on. And two, it's definitely not something I remotely want to like vent out on the internet generally anyways. But it's so nice not to have to like, to be able to do my work, like to be able to like do OnlyFans and not have to watch what I say around people. Because I honestly, there's not a lot that needs to be said for like the content that I create, honestly. And yeah, that's really nice to like, I'm not going to get fired. I'm not going to get like reprimanded or anything like that. I can just do my work and not have to think about like, oh, I don't want to offend whoever from finance, or like, oh, there's like HR watching over, blah, blah, blah. That part is really nice. Being self-employed, you know what? It's hard in the sense that to be successful enough to like financially successful enough, it's quite difficult. It's in a relative sense, it's more straightforward to have an employer, like a company, give you a reliable, solid paycheck every single, 2 weeks or twice a month, whatever, right? Well, until you get fired, but, it's all the kind of terms. But, the danger of being self-employed is, like, you don't really, there's no solid paycheck. One month I might get X amount, and the next month I might get half that. There's just no security. You need your own health insurance. There's no 401k. There's no retirement plan. There's no like perks. There's no snacks in the break room. I buy all that shit myself. Yeah, so it's like riskier in a sense. So, but while I'm self-employed, I'm gonna try to just enjoy the perks of it, which is I don't need to be PC around whoever, like Mary from finance or like Bob from legal or some shit, and I can do whatever I want. So that part is really nice. Like I definitely I'm so PC when I'm in like a corporate environment. When I was an employee, I've occasionally had friends just like because they're crashing with me, or like we're traveling, we're in the same hotel, and I just had to take like a conference call or something, and they've never seen me at work. So when they hear me like on a Zoom call and they're like out of sight and like off to the side, when they hear me like talk to other people at the company on a Zoom call, they're like, wow, you are a completely different person. Like they'll say, like, you're a completely different person. And I am. The corporate Joey is completely different. And it's like scary. But yeah, maybe one day I'll be back in corporate. You really don't know. But for right now, I'm just going to enjoy the perks and the benefits of the self-employed life, even though it's got its own set of cons and risks. But yeah, nothing's permanent. So we'll see how long this lasts. I'm just going to ride it till however long it lasts. All right, with that, we're going to end it there. By the way, keep sending me more comments, questions. I would love to do like a Q&A. Yeah, I love answering questions. So feel free to just comment whatever you want me to talk about. You have any questions, even if it's just something like basic or random. It's like, what do you eat for breakfast? Yeah, feel free to send that in the comment section on the YouTube channel. But until next time, bye.